and justice for all. Okay. Second item of business is instructions on exiting the building in case of emergency. Whoops, oh, I'm sorry. Whoops.
So that's me. So for those of you in the building, if there's an emergency, you can go out either door at the back of the auditorium, turn left or right, and proceed to the main exits. For those of you joining us virtually, thank you for being here. We will be monitoring the chat in case you want to be heard by the council. Please indicate your interest in speaking in the chat, and we will call on you, and you can unmute and turn your camera on and speak directly to the council. We will not be monitoring the chat for content. Thank you.
All righty. Next item is the agenda review. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes in order of agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Comments and questions from the public not related to the agenda. Yes, please. Monica Utsby.
And just make sure the green light is on, please.
Thank you.
You can take your mask off while you're speaking so
Okay.
you're clearer.
Having a hard time getting my thoughts together. I'm really upset. I just came across something in the other paper that I just got today. So I haven't really gotten through all my thoughts. But I had to come in and say something. I'm coming in to request that the City Council reconsider the name of the South Burlington Senior Center and name it in honor of Jennifer Kochman. Jennifer Kochman passed June 11th of last year, and I am one of the community members who reached out privately to ask you to consider honoring her because she was so committed to making that senior center in this building become what it is. I learned that there were other plans in place. That was June 11th that she passed. I have a stack to give Jesse when I'm done here, but June 17th, Kevin Dorn sent an opinion letter into the other paper that was extremely irresponsible, disrespectful, discriminatory, and it caused a opinion piece back from the board on board chair of the school board on June 24th, which said, as a white man in a position of power in a majority white community, Dorn deemed it appropriate to try to discredit a woman of color, Dr. Travia Childs, a school board member, when she had the courage to give voice to concerns of students and families of color in our community regarding police in our schools. The point is, his opinion piece was factually incorrect and targeted very inappropriately. That was very upsetting. And upon reading it, I again contacted certain members of the City Council and asked you to please reconsider honoring Kevin Dorn by naming a room after him. And then I get this week's paper. And I'm finding that, again, Mr. Dorn, in the repeat offender Andrew Johnson's case, is quoted in the paper. Sorry, he's not quoted because he refused to respond. But he's written in the paper as, in this, Dorn, for which the city's new senior center is named, is called out in the complaint for allegedly ignoring the evidence of sexual assault in the investigation report and failing to notify the Criminal Justice Training Council and permitting Johnson to stay on paid leave for 4 months before resigning without discipline. Dorn did not respond to a request for comment. Like I said, I'm just sharing more of the past. I wasn't able to get my thoughts fully together on this, but you can tell this is very upsetting to like yet another. And let me say, in the very powerfully written June 24th opinion piece back by the board, she did close it by saying, I hope that the incoming city manager will be willing to partner with the school district to do the work necessary to make our community welcoming to all. The name on that senior center was not welcoming to all, and I officially ask you to please consider renaming the senior center in honor of Jennifer Kochman. And can I approach to give this to you, Jesse? It's a whole stack of historical articles that. Thank you. Here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from the public not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to announcements and the city manager's report. Start with Tom. Any announcements?
I was just thinking of one thing I'd comment, and I don't mean to put the city manager on the spot, so no need to react, but I was a pedestrian on Williston Road today from Dorset Street to Heinsberg, and that sidewalk is just in terrible disrepair. That I know that we have the possible project with the TIF, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that we can do to maybe, in Burlington, I see they sometimes do some patchwork, but I mean, it is just treacherous, and I don't know, it doesn't shine well on us, the city of South Burlington, Williston Road. Shelburne Road, I've walked many a time, and I just feel like the sidewalks are a little bit better maintained, and that stretch just is in dire need of some tender, loving care, and I just offer that opinion.
Okay, thank you. Megan?
I'll just add on that Airport Parkway and Airport Drive sidewalks could also use some attention if we're going to talk. I brought sidewalks up earlier. I don't know the cost because we are going to start the Williston Road project. Is it next year? Or is it starting this year? I can't recall.
We still need to bond for it.
Oh, we still need to bond for it. Okay, all right. But the vote would be this year or early next year.
The vote would either be November or town meeting day next year.
Right, right. Okay,
We do have engineering underway for it, for Williston Road.
okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Matt?
Nothing to report. I do have some very positive news in the Councilors Committee assignments later on, if I
Oh.
could tease that.
Oh, you're making us wait.
I
All
am.
right. Tim?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, March 9th, the CCRPC will be hosting a public hearing on the Queen City Park bike ped connection work with their proposals. That's online remote. I don't have a link for you here, but I'm sure you could just Google that and find it. If somebody needs it, let me know and I'll find it for you. It's also, I think, in one of the agenda. It's in our email. There's probably a link to it. Also, it's pothole time.
Yeah.
So I urge everybody to approach water-filled holes in the highway cautiously. And this could be an opportunity to go out and patch a few things before. Because all the water melts and runs in, and you're like, oh, that's just a, oh, that's a $200 alloy rim repair and a blowout tires, so.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some just nice coverage. I don't know if that you're responsible on CAX about the connection, about the bike pedestrian connection on CAX. I don't know.
Oh, was there, yeah, I did see that, yeah, they did, and they did a little drone flyover too, right? Which was kind of nice, yeah,
Pay attention to it.
so good.
Cool.
That's all I have.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report. So Jeff?
I have quite a few things to report, so bear with me for just a few minutes. As always, starting with our COVID numbers, we had 28 cases last week reported to VDH. That is a few more than our cases the previous week, so we're maintaining at about a 1% increase a week. Paul and I did want to give you an update on land development regulations. As you may know, the Planning Commission has warned the next public hearing for land development regulations updates for March 22nd, and then assuming they move something forward, that will come to you likely in April. So this is based on the conversation about the full LDR package you previously had. They heard a lot of interest from the council around a generic PUD option, and really have prioritized that and done yeoman's work to move that proposal forward to you. So this would establish the new general PUD to accompany the conservation PUD and traditional neighborhood PUD that were previously adopted, and allow for those to be available anywhere in the city and be available for those where the others two are not in place, and be available to those that are already under permit to ease that review. So many more, and they also, with this proposal, are bringing forward to you a slight amendment to the existing site amenities that are required on site, which is kind of a additional thing they had hoped to do with the LDRs. So much more to come to you. We were thinking about doing a full presentation on that tonight, but since you'll see it at least 2 more times, we just want to give you that quick update and teaser in city updates. You'll see more about that. Just a reminder to the community that final tax installments are due on the 15th. Thank you very much. And the city clerk is in their last 3 weeks of registering dogs and cats. Last year, we broke all records for registering dogs and cats, and we are actually ahead of our rate where we were last year.
Wow.
So
Maybe the
lots
word is percolating down.
She's putting it out, email and
yeah,
front porch
yeah.
forum. Yeah, it's good.
she's doing a great job.
Without the police letterhead?
That's without the
Right,
police letter.
Right,
That's just Donna's
yeah,
letter.
so that's good.
Yeah.
We received last week our latest local options tax allotment. So this is the holiday period from mid-November to beginning of February. We are ahead of budget per what we budgeted in FY22. If the trends continued for the rate we received last year for the remainder of this year, we will have a surplus in that budget line at the end of FY22, and we'll continue a similar surplus through FY23, assuming rates continue to stay, because we budgeted relatively conservatively for that in 2023. So great news for our economy that things are continuing to come back. We just heard today from VTrans that they are intending to pave Route 7 from Charlotte to the 189 line this summer and next summer. So that's Shelburne Road. That's a huge amount of road in our city, likely over 2 summers.
There are probably some sidewalks on Route 7 too that could use some attention, but yeah.
So much more to come on that, but I just want to give you a heads up that we may start seeing communication from VTrans on that.
I have a question, Jesse. Is the design open for change, like having a median strip or something to make it a little more pedestrian friendly?
So if we want to pause this, we could ask the state to consider that, but when they do this paving program on Class 1 highways, it's solely repaving. They don't adjust the curb lines, they just shim coat the top and then repave it.
And, I'm sorry, were you done?
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to say I'm going to put a wrench in the works, but if it's just, I'd like to know if, we're making the lanes a little bit narrower to ensure that, or give drivers a reason to drive more slowly. So if there is a way just to have narrower lanes and just have a foot or 2 of median strip, I would love to know if that could be added afterwards, or I would think it should be done at the same time, what the process would be. I don't want to put a wrench in the works, because I know that potholes are priority, but it's really not pedestrian friendly. And that won't be repaved then for 10, 20 years, right?
On a state highway like that, probably closer to 10, but yes, unless we did a streetscape improvement project the way we're doing on Williston Road or something else.
So
But I can explore that. That could also be a striping solution that doesn't require the curb line moving.
Right.
So there may be options there.
So are you proposing the fog line be drawn closer to the middle on both sides to give a little bit more room to bikers?
That's a potential possibility.
I just
The
don't know,
other
yeah.
possibility was having it down, just like our Dorset Street, having a median. And there could actually,
Oh.
they do this in Europe, they have bike, and I know that we're thinking about it
Yeah.
for Williston Road over 189, having the bikes go on that median, which
Yeah,
is,
the problem is when you hit the old Unos, that's when the bike lanes disappear, when you're going north, right? And then you have like basically this, from the fog line to the granite curb, it's about that wide. It's really narrow, and
right.
there's just a sidewalk on the edges. It's not bike friendly at all.
They
Right.
do the striping though, the transportation, so we would have to
So there's
get them
opportunity
to
there.
agree to make the lanes
10 feet instead of 12, right?
narrower and then have
Which that's
more
4
space
extra
on either
feet.
side for bikes.
I mean,
That'd be
4
great.
extra feet is a lot.
Yeah, if If they even had an extra foot, it would be nice, because it's,
I suspect it's a state highway and they will ignore whatever we say, but it
It's
doesn't mean we
worth
shouldn't ask.
asking.
well,
We
remember.
got 30 mile per hour
I mean, it's
on,
just, they're just gonna shim it, right, as opposed to
116.
what they did on Williston Road, right, from the old Earls all the way back to Taft Corner almost, right? They actually, designed in very wide bike lanes that were integrated with the turns and things like that, with the green coloring and stuff, but that was all engineered. That wasn't just and they dug up the highway and actually rebuilt it from scratch. It wasn't just a shim, so.
Are they just putting a surface coating, or are they actually going to grind it and
So the update I heard today was V-Trans may be paving Route 7 this summer.
There you
may
go.
want to tell council.
period?
So
So that's what I know, and I would be happy to.
Sounded so easy,
encourage
right?
them to do other things.
So my follow-up questions, if you could ask,
Sure.
as I'd like to know, is what their hours are gonna be.
Yep.
And if they're gonna do it during commute hours, we know that Spear Street and Dorset Street will be used heavily by commuters trying to get into the city. And do we have, I should know this, but I don't, do we have the speeding signs that alert people at our disposal to prepare for that eventuality when we're gonna have, if it is during commute times, people taking Spear in Dorset to avoid the paving machines?
Yep.
Because certainly we want to make sure that the people don't think that Dorset Street and Spear Street are highways and that they should
Right.
obey the speed limit.
Go 50 miles an hour.
Right.
Great, thank you.
And is Dorset Street going to be continued, the paving? Because it went to a certain point and then, right, every year we were going to go a little bit further. Is that on the?
That's not V-Trans, though,
us.
that's
Right,
us.
yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is just, since we're talking about paving,
Yes.
okay.
Since we're on this topic, and you raised the, open the can of worms, I
This
think
was
what
a
Councilor
terrible
Everett might
idea.
also be interested in, or at least I would be, since the median, the pedestrian refuge, that seems like it would take a great deal of additional groundwork. But if we were to reconsider the suicide lane and instead just make more room on both sides for bicyclists, that's also less distance for the pedestrians to have to jump across traffic. Does the state have entire authority over the suicide lane, or do we as a city have some influence over going from 5 lanes down to 4 in order to make for more multimodal travel as well as less of a pedestrian danger? That'd be a question I'd love to talk about at a future
Yeah.
discussion.
CCRPC did a study on Williston Road for us to go to the suicide lane.
Wait.
It was a pilot that then became permanent. So I don't know if we can do it without that study. I don't know.
Not to be a stickler, but they're two-way center-left turn lanes. I don't know, I don't like that term, suicide lane. They're two-way center-left turn lanes, that's all. I mean,
2-way center left, my apologies.
yeah.
Okay, lots more updates.
Yes, keep going.
Okay.
We'll interrupt when we need to.
So two, I hope, fun library updates for you. Students from the high school Big Picture program will be painting a mural in the young adults loft in the library in the coming months.
Oh,
And they will be bringing 2 proposals forward to the community. So you will see those options out there soon,
lovely.
later this month. And then the Veterans Telehealth Project that you approved a grant for several months ago is kicking off. They're having their volunteer training at the end of the month with full implementation in April. And the library is training all their staff about how to use, how to support veterans as best they can as they come in for those services. 3 other things as the council knows, but I'd like to share with the community. Effective today, I am thrilled to share that Tom DePietro will be our permanent Public Works Director. We had the opportunity to celebrate him at a staff event earlier today. Tom joined the team in 2006, and since that time has held several different positions in the city, brought in tens of millions of dollars for infrastructure improvements, and saw that construction move forward and really become a statewide expert in stormwater and environmental services. He has a MS in Plant and Soil Science from UVM and a BS in Environmental Management and Technology from the Rochester Institute of Technology. And we're really thrilled that he's taking the helm after basically a 2-month job interview and done fantastic things in the last 2 months, and we look forward to seeing what he can do next.
What will the state do without his stormwater expertise?
I think he will likely still hopefully coach up the next future leader
so.
in stormwater expertise. It does mean that we now have the 2 vacancies still, so we'll be filling his position and the new CIP position in the FY23 budget. So we're spending a few days working with Tom on what his vision is for those 2 positions, and hopefully leveraging even more support to infrastructure projects in connection to maintenance in the city with those 2 new leader hires. So more to come on that front, but please join me in welcoming Tom to this position. Today we also celebrated a bunch of police hires and promotions, and retirements. So we celebrated the retirement of Lieutenant Demore, who has served South Burlington for 25 years and is stepping down. We celebrated the promotion of Greg Short, Officer Greg Short to sergeant. He is a wonderful staff person, is probably among the best officers I've ever heard talk about de-escalation and use of force, and really excited about his leadership. And then I wanted to share with the council that we do have 3 new officers 2 that were sworn in today and 1 that was sworn in about a week and a half ago, going to the police academy this spring.
Great.
So hopefully with those 3 officers coming out of the academy, we will address our pretty significant staffing levels. And then finally, as of today, the University Mall property has sold. I can officially share with you that Eastern Real Estate has taken ownership of that parcel. They're a national privately held commercial real estate company. They have offices in Boston and Santa Barbara. They've been in business for over 30 years. We have met with their representative half a dozen times over the last couple of months. And I can say that, as their website says, they start every conversation with what are the goals of the city and how can we help achieve them. So we're really excited to welcome them to the community. They are planning their own kind of official launch and introduction to the community. But I was given permission to officially share that information tonight and their identity. Of course, the mall will continue to operate as is for the foreseeable future.
That's wonderfully exciting. It's like turning a page. It's like the sun is rising. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So thank you for your attention.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you. Item 6, consent agenda. We have 2 items, the disbursements, and then the second one, approval for a 2022-23 after-school and summer expanding access grant to support summer programming through recreation.
So I'll move to approve. I just have a question. I'll wait for the second.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Was there a second?
I hear
Yes,
I
Tom.
didn't hear it,
did.
sorry.
Yeah.
The quiet second.
Yeah. The recruiting and testing, it's RJ Gone. Was that for hires for city staff? Andrew?
I believe those are the 2 new officers that we just
Police
Yeah,
officers.
police officers, yep. So those are polygraph testing, I think specifically.
Very good. Okay, thank you. And I'll just let people know that's $850. So they're definitely investigated, right?
Yeah, very thorough process.
$850. You're not just doing a Google search.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have 2 questions.
Yes.
One, or well, just 2 items from the financial warrants. Why did we need JP Hoofworks? Do we have a horse that we don't know about? It's a veterinary service. Do we?
Oh,
Oh, that was, that's Rush, our police dog.
Oh, it's for the dog?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rush
He has
or was it
big
for the?
paws, so they.
Big, the paw.
the nails.
But it's Hoofworks, okay. And what truck did we buy? What Freightliner truck did we buy? Was that for Public Works and?
Yeah, so that's a large hauler to bring biomass from Bartlett Bay to Airport Parkway.
Oh, okay.
The one we bought a few years ago kind of ended up turning out to be a bit of a lemon, and it's sort of been in the shop and unoperational more often than not. So we've actually been contracting with one of the septic services, which has been a huge,
Yeah.
much more expensive than this. So we were able to lock in a price pretty early on before we see any additional increases. So
So this is go ahead.
It's
Brand new, right?
Brand new.
brand new, yep.
It says 2022, so,
Yeah.
all right.
Probably
So
resell it
will
for
you try to
10%.
sell the lemon?
I don't know what the plans are for that yet, but presumably so. Yep.
Put it on
As
Craigslist.
long as we let people know.
Right. Full disclosure. Yeah.
I guess they do know. All righty.
That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, are you ready for the vote then? All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Item 7 is considering an extension of the mask mandate currently in place. Jesse.
Sure. So I've given you two options, although you can decide to do whatever you would like here. The two resolution options I've given you, one is to continue what we have currently, which is the mask mandate in place with the opt-out provision for commercial businesses. The second is mandate for City Hall and public spaces, but an encouragement for private businesses. Also, so those are the two options before you. You can also select, you can create your own option if you would like. I do want to share that the governor announced at the very end of the week last week that per his decision, he is lifting the mask recommendation for all indoor spaces, including schools, with specific vaccination rates on March 14th. Burlington has lifted their mask mandate. I share those with you as pieces of information.
So I'm sorry.
I guess I would encourage you. So there's been a lot of confusion about the different mandates we have put in place. So if you would like to keep a mandate in place, I encourage you to keep the same mandate in place. Or if you would like to lift it, that's of course fine. But going into a mandate with another type of mandate may be challenging for us to continue to communicate.
Okay, Matt?
Well, my question was, and you may have said this and it may be in the text, but just to confirm, if we do nothing, it expires what day?
If we do nothing, it expires tonight.
Tonight? Okay. I'm in favor of doing nothing.
Okay, so you would like to
And
sort of just be a week ahead of the governor.
Yep.
And lifting all the mass mandates.
that's right.
Other thoughts, if there are?
I'm in favor of lifting the mandate as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're under 5% statewide. I realize that, there could be a new wave as more people feel comfortable. And I just want to again reiterate that I will continue wearing a mask. And anybody who wishes to continue wearing a mask should feel free. And it's something that we should all respect.
For sure. Tom?
Yeah, I'm ready to drop the mandate, so I would propose to not do anything, and then the mask mandates for both city buildings as well as the rest of the opt-out policy would drop tonight, is what I just heard Jesse say. That's
Okay,
right.
that would still allow a business to require them,
Yes.
but it would be just fully their decision, because I don't think the hospital's going to drop.
Right.
Or medical.
Or public transportation and federal transportation, right? Yeah.
Right.
I don't know about,
That ends on the 18th.
for state transportation, right?
Well,
For GMT.
anything that's federally funded, which includes GMT, so that's on the 18th.
But airports and airplanes,
Oh, I don't know about airports.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
those are,
that's
they're
different.
maintaining that, as far as I know.
Yeah, no, you might be right. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a question for the city manager. What are you comfortable with within the city-owned buildings?
So my approach would be if the council decides tonight to let the current resolution expire, that we would just shift over to encourage language for City Hall, especially for the library that has, many patrons who are under 5. We had a lot of success with that encourage language early in November and December before the mandate was in place. We'd still offer masks at the front door, so if people wanted to be masked and protect themselves, they could. I feel completely comfortable with that.
Okay, I would agree. I think it's probably time, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I agree with Councilor Emery's sentiment about, you can always wear a mask if you're uncomfortable in an indoor spot and people are, that you're with the general public. So please, if you feel like you want to wear a mask, go ahead. And I will probably be wearing mine in certain situations as well. So, sure, I'm on board.
All right, so if you're ready for,
You don't have to take any action.
Right.
No action is needed, right?
oh, okay.
Do we agree?
Yes,
Yes.
we can vote
Current
to?
resolution expires this evening, and
Okay,
tomorrow
so
there will be no
everyone
mask
is
mandate in place.
satisfied with that. All right.
If we wait till midnight, we can take our masks off?
If you wait till
Yeah, if we have a really long meeting.
not like that.
Okay. Okay, item 8, consider entering executive session for the purpose of discussing Rudavsky versus City of South Burlington. So I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Ooh, can I read that motion?
Yes, you,
I move that the council make a specific finding that premature general public knowledge of civil litigation in the matter of Rudavsky versus City of South Burlington and confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the council would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I now move that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing civil litigation in the matter of Rudavsky versus City of South Burlington and receiving confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the council, inviting in Jesse Baker, Andrew Bolduc, and Colin McNeil into this session with the council.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We will be returning to open session following this executive session. With our masks.
I'm not going to read them all, but there's numerous ones.
Where is the Alpine Waffle Cabin?
I
That-
thought of that. Everybody likes
So-
That is in the old Kmart Plaza in,
Oh, it's gonna be part of the Alpine shop?
yes, it is.
Okay.
So when you go get your bike fixed or buy a new one, you might
Oh.
You
have a waffle and a beer to
And a
go
beer.
with it. Yeah.
That's too many carbs.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve all these first, third, second, whatever, liquor licenses.
I'll move that we approve them.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that carries 5-0. So a motion to come out of the liquor
So
control?
moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So we are back into our city council.
And let the rooms and meals tax go higher.
That's right,
Not the tax itself, the revenue from the tax.
right.
By increased, visitation of these establishments. Thank you.
Okay. Reports, item 11, reports from councilors on committee assignments. Are there any?
Yep, there is with
Hey,
the
Megan?
airport rezoning task force. We had our meeting last Thursday after our reorganizational meeting. And we heard from Brandy Saxton, who's our consultant. And as she told us at the very beginning, we had 3 choices, which was we approve the request for rezoning to airport, or we disapprove it. And this is all advisory. This is all, right, a task force that the planning commission has put together, and we'd be sending that on to them. Or we come up with something else to suggest to the planning commission. So the catch is that saying no could, according to Brandy Saxton, potentially lead to a legal case on the part of the owner of the airport on the basis of being deprived of the value of the land that they purchased with FAA dollars. So that's something we'll have to contend with. She is going to be coming back to the task force on the 17th, so that's a week from this Thursday. It's going to be St. Patty's Day. And we are going to be looking at 3 memos that she's putting together. So what would it look like to say no? What would it look like to say not now? We are in the process of starting our new comprehensive plan. And so that could potentially, just let's hold off and wait till our planning commission has a chance to look at that area. So it would be, a decision that could happen in 2 years. Or a discussion was had about dimensions of potential structures that would be allowed with some kind of zoning. looking at, what is it called, setback from the road, looking at having there be a berm, like a building could actually be underground, under a berm, and plantings. So that's the third memo that she's going to be preparing, and we'll be discussing that on March 17th.
Okay. Do you anticipate a vote that
No.
night? No, you're just going to be considering these and
After
discussing them?
this, we're going to have another public hearing.
Oh,
right?
okay. That would make sense.
So, and it has been, I think, the date is maybe the second Thursday in April when we would finish. So it's pretty fast, which is of concern to several people. And there's a lot of question, about what other land exists on the airport property where, the needs could be met. So,
Uh-huh.
do we have enough time to actually answer that question is a question we'll have to look at too.
Okay. So have they reported about other options for the, as I understand it, what is in the pipeline now? I guess you're not supposed to use that term. I'm sorry. What is being planned?
What's wrong with pipeline?
That thing, there was a whole article about appropriate language. And one of the terms, I guess it's offensive to indigenous people because
The oil.
oil was often pipelined over their land and destroyed their water. I'll send you the link. It was interesting. It was a report that was done, and it was very different topic. It was startling to me because when I worked in the legislature, I had to relearn some things that now are inappropriate. For example, hearing impaired. We used to call them deaf people. Then I was trained to know that's inappropriate. Hearing impaired. Well, now we're back to they want to be called deaf people or deaf. So it's just sort of interesting. It's that whole process of understanding he, she, they, all of that, as well as all these other.
I just learned about two-way center-left lanes tonight.
Yes.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah.
And which is harder to remember, two center left lanes.
Two-way center left turn lane.
Two-way center left turn lanes.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's a mouthful.
So, my understanding is the only thing that's being discussed and planned at the moment is the shed for the, and the need for it. I mean, I would go along with that there is a need for a new one and a larger one and a better one. But I haven't heard if there's any other land available. I mean,
Or even a structure.
I don't know how many 100 acres they have. There might be a little pocket somewhere else. But I don't know.
847 last I heard.
847, yeah, and they probably don't need more than an acre. That'd be a big building.
Yep.
So, okay, thank you. Matt, do you have any updates on?
Yeah, the great news is that there is going to be no strike. There will not be a strike
Oh, good.
of the rural bus drivers. They have agreed to, and it's publicly announced. It should be in the press very soon. The rural bus drivers have agreed to terms, and that means all three labor unions have agreed to terms with GMTA. We still have gone to reduced services in order to provide certainty because of the lack of bus drivers. If anyone would like to be a bus driver, contact John Moore at GMTA. They are hiring. But the good news is that there is a labor agreement, and we're good for a couple of years. So.
Great. What was the issues around mass part of it? I mean, since there's been a change both by the CDC and the governor and.
Certainly there has been issues around mass. Those weren't part of the labor
Okay.
negotiations. That was, as you might surmise, mostly about healthcare and salary.
Okay.
And what was the outcome of the healthcare insurance?
Well, it's different for the different, three different labor unions. And they came from different starting points. So in the rural drivers, which is the most contentious one because that almost led to a strike, it was the coverage for the individual drivers was very, very strong, 100%, everything. but they gave up in a prior negotiation
The family.
the healthcare for the dependents, the wife or the spouse or the children. That one went down, one went up, and everyone came to an agreement. So I think that's positive going forward.
Okay,
Good.
good.
Okay, Tim?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything from the, any of my many committees, so. Is there any other business to come before us? Okay. Then we can consider entering an executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. We will not come back to the auditorium after that, so.
So I have a
Once we
motion.
move into executive session, this meeting will be ended.
So I move that the council make a specific finding that premature general public knowledge of civil litigation to which the city is a party and confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the council would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So having found that, I now move that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing civil litigation to which the city is a party and receiving confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the council, inviting in Jesse Baker, Andrew Bolduc, Paul Connor, and Colin McNeil.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Same place?
Yeah. So, go eat, drink a little, but be very merry.